This audiobook reveals the ancient wisdom of the unshakable mind, guiding you to the inner power that remains steady no matter what storms arise. As you listen, you'll awaken to the truth that your calm is not fragile. It is a force that shapes reality itself. Step into this emotional mastery now and watch the universe align with the steadiness you claim. The unshakable mind. You didn't arrive here by accident. Certain pages find certain souls. If this book found you, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. I'm giving away a free physical copy of this book, packed with ancient wisdom and timeless insight. The details are in the pinned comment, so don't forget to check it out. Introduction. In the silent currents beneath all creation, emotions rise and fall like celestial tides, shifting with every unseen wind. Yet within you rests a power older than the stars themselves, a stillness so profound that no storm can touch it. This inner steadiness is not rare, nor reserved for sages. It is your sacred inheritance, waiting patiently for you to remember the ancient laws that govern energy and consciousness. The universe speaks not in words, but in vibration. Each thought you hold, each feeling you embrace, sends waves through the cosmic fabric, shaping the reality that forms around you. When you allow the outer world to command your inner state, you hand over your creative authority. But when you claim emotional sovereignty, you become as enduring as a mountain, as calm as a quiet lake mirroring the infinite heavens. This path begins with a timeless truth. Your inner vision sculpts your outer world. The law of attraction does not respond to circumstance. It responds to belief, to focus, to the energy you radiate. When you choose harmony amidst chaos, you turn what once burdened you into the very catalyst that lifts you higher. This is not theory, it is the active force that shapes destinies. Imagine your consciousness as a radiant tower of light. The clarity of its beam determines what reaches the shores of your life. When emotion clouds your light, your manifestations waver. But when your inner foundation is unshakable, your tower stands bright and steady, guiding every blessing, every opportunity, directly into your experience. The unshakable mind is not forged through rigidity or resistance. It awakens naturally as you align yourself with the rhythm of universal wisdom. Like a tree that bends with the wind yet never uproots, you learn to move with life while remaining firmly anchored in truth. This is the essence of emotional invincibility, not the denial of feeling, but the discovery of a peace so deep it cannot be disturbed. Your journey into this power begins here. These teachings will reveal how to maintain equilibrium in a world of shifting forms. Remember, to remain unmoved does not mean to detach from life. It means to stand so firmly in your inner knowing that nothing external can cloud the truth of who you are. And as you walk this sacred path, know that every step into stillness is a step into mastery. For when the mind becomes quiet, the waters of creation become clear, and the universe responds with perfect fidelity to your intention. Part 1. The Grounding of the Spirit. Chapter 1. The Calm Before Thought. In a bustling city lived Clara, a woman whose mind raced endlessly with worries about tomorrow. Each day, her thoughts spiraled through endless possibilities of what might go wrong until she could barely breathe beneath their weight. One morning, while rushing through her usual routine, she dropped her favorite cup. As it shattered on the floor, something extraordinary happened. Time seemed to pause. In that brief moment between the crash and her reaction, she discovered a pocket of silence she had never noticed before. Within that silence lay a power greater than all her anxious thoughts combined. When you focus your attention, you direct the flow of universal energy. This is the essence of the law of mental focus, a principle as old as consciousness itself. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. Wherever you direct its beam, that reality expands. When your thoughts scatter like leaves in a storm, they create turbulence in your manifesting field. But in moments of focused silence, you become a clear channel through which the universe can work its wonders. The art of quieting the mind does not mean forcing thoughts into submission. Instead, it means becoming the witness to your mental activity, choosing consciously where to place your attention. Like a spotlight operator in a vast theater, you have the power to illuminate what serves your highest good while allowing all else to naturally fade into the background. In a distant village lived Benny, known for his perpetual scowl and heavy heart. One day, a traveling merchant shared a simple secret. The universe speaks in the language of lightness. At first, Benny dismissed these words, but something in them caught hold. He began to notice how children played without worry, how birds sang without purpose, how flowers bloomed without strain. Gradually, his scowl softened into a smile, and with that smile came a remarkable shift. His long-held wishes began manifesting with surprising ease. This tale mirrors a fundamental truth. Emotional neutrality creates space for miracles. When you release the weight of constant concern, you allow the natural flow of abundance to move through your life. Joy is not merely a result of manifestation, it is a catalyst for it. Ancient practice for peaceful presence. As each day draws to a close, find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Settle into a comfortable position and allow your awareness to rest, not on the day's challenges or tomorrow's uncertainties, but on the eternal presence within you. Breathe as though infinity flows through your lungs, filling every cell with tranquil light. Let each breath gently reweave the fabric of your consciousness, transforming scattered thoughts into serene clarity. Maintain this practice for as long as feels natural, knowing that each moment of peaceful presence strengthens your connection to universal power. Chapter 2: The Frequency of Allowance. In a small cottage among rolling hills lived Ivy, whose days were consumed with endless lists and meticulous plans. Each morning she would rise before dawn, carefully orchestrating every moment of her day. She arranged her garden in perfect symmetry, scheduled her meals to the minute, and tried to bend life to her precise vision. Yet the more she grasped for control, the more life seemed to slip through her fingers like water. Season after season, her carefully laid plans would unravel in unexpected ways. Her prized roses refused to bloom according to her timeline. Her perfectly scheduled days were interrupted by surprise visits and unforeseen events. With each disruption, her anxiety grew until exhaustion finally brought her to her knees. The universe operates through a principle of effortless flow. Like a river that naturally finds its course, life energy moves most powerfully when it meets no resistance. This is the sacred law of allowance. The understanding that your highest good unfolds not through force, but through harmony with the divine current. When you release your grip on outcomes, you enter into partnership with universal intelligence. This is not surrender to chaos, but rather an elevation into a higher order. The universe holds wisdom far beyond your limited perspective, orchestrating countless elements to bring about your greatest good. In a distant valley lived George, a first-time gardener whose enthusiasm exceeded his patience. Daily he would plant seeds, only to dig them up hours later to check their progress. His garden remained barren until an old wise woman shared a simple truth. Seeds grow in darkness, in silence, in trust. Finally, understanding, George planted his seeds and stepped back, allowing nature's wisdom to work without his interference. As he learned to trust the unseen process, his garden transformed into a flourishing paradise. Your life contains many seeds of possibility. Like George's garden, these seeds require space to grow. Every time you try to force an outcome, you disturb the delicate roots of manifestation. But when you trust in divine timing, you allow your desires to unfold in perfect sequence. Ancient practice for trusting life. As night falls, find a quiet moment to commune with life itself. In the gentle darkness, whisper these words, "I trust you." Feel how these simple words release the weight of control from your shoulders. With each breath, let go of every forced thought that attempts to shape the river of life. Notice how peace naturally fills the space where pressure once resided. In this sacred surrender, you align with the infinite intelligence that guides all things to their perfect fulfillment. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Emotion. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Ruth sold hand-woven tapestries, each thread a testament to her artistry. Day after day, merchants would pass her stall, some praising her work while others dismissed it with harsh words. Their judgments carved deep valleys in her spirit until she felt as small as a grain of sand. One morning, as Ruth arranged her newest creation, a wise woman paused before her stall. "Your work speaks of inner beauty," she said, "yet your eyes tell of storms within." The woman lifted an ancient mirror from her bag, its surface clouded with age. "Look deeply," she instructed, "not at your face, but at the thoughts behind your eyes." As Ruth gazed into the mirror, she witnessed her own beliefs reflected back, every doubt, every fear she had internalized over the years. In that crystalline moment, she understood. Others hadn't diminished her light. She had accepted their words as truth. The universe speaks through every encounter, every emotion that rises within you. When something triggers a response, it isn't the external event that creates your feeling. It is your inner story seeking transformation. Each reaction serves as a compass, pointing to beliefs ready for healing. Consider Miles, a teacher who encountered a stranger in the library. The man knocked over Miles's carefully arranged books, muttering accusations instead of apologies. Yet Miles saw beyond the surface behavior. "Peace be with you, brother," he said softly, recognizing that anger often masks pain. In that moment, something shifted, not in the stranger's demeanor but in Miles's heart. By choosing understanding over judgment, he remained untouched by negativity. Your emotions are not imposed upon you by others. They emerge from the stories you carry within. When someone's words sting, examine not their actions but your acceptance of their power to hurt you. The key to emotional freedom lies not in controlling others but in mastering your own inner dialogue. Ancient practice of emotional alchemy. When emotion rises like a wave, pause. Rather than reacting, whisper these words of power, "This is my teacher." Let this sacred phrase dissolve the illusion of victimhood. Feel how understanding transforms reaction into wisdom, resistance into grace. In this practice lies the seed of true emotional mastery, not in the absence of triggers, but in your power to transmute them into growth. Chapter 4. The Art of Releasing Control. In a village among ancient hills lived Eliza, whose days were mapped with precision. Each morning she would unfold her leather-bound planner, its chapters filled with carefully crafted schedules. Her house stood as a monument to order, every shelf labeled, every hour accounted for, every possibility prepared for, with meticulous backup plans. Yet beneath this orchestrated existence, an unseen current stirred. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, began to gently dismantle her carefully constructed world. First, a sudden storm canceled her daughter's outdoor wedding. The celebration, moved indoors, became more intimate and magical than anyone could have imagined. Then, a missed connection led her to a chance encounter that opened doors she never knew existed. Through each disruption, a profound truth emerged. Life's greatest gifts often arrive in unmarked packages, carried on the winds of uncertainty. When you release your grip on how things should be, you enter the flow of infinite possibility. This surrender is not resignation, but elevation, a recognition that the universe holds wisdom beyond your current understanding. In letting go, you don't abandon your dreams. You allow them to be fulfilled in ways far grander than your mind could conceive. The path of surrender requires trust in life's natural unfolding. Just as a river knows its way to the sea without consulting a map, your spirit knows its destiny. Your role is not to control the current, but to flow with it, understanding that every bend in the river serves your highest good. Walter's story illuminates this truth with striking clarity. As a corporate executive for 20 years, his identity was deeply entwined with his position. When unexpected restructuring left him jobless, his world seemed to crumble. For months, he fought against this new reality, desperately trying to recreate what was lost. Then one morning, while watching the sunrise, something shifted within him. He stopped struggling and simply allowed himself to be. In that space of acceptance, new possibilities emerged. His passion for teaching, long buried under spreadsheets and meetings, resurfaced. Within a year, he had established a mentoring program for young entrepreneurs, touching more lives than he ever had in his corporate role. Walter's journey reveals a timeless truth. What appears as loss often clears the way for greater alignment. The universe never takes away without preparing to give something more aligned with your soul's purpose. When you trust this process, uncertainty transforms from an enemy to be conquered into a dance partner, guiding you toward your highest good. Ancient practice of surrender. As you prepare for sleep each night, lie in your bed and imagine yourself floating on a vast, calm ocean. With each exhale, release a should that has been binding you, should be different, should know better, should have done more. Feel the weight of these expectations dissolving into the water beneath you. Allow yourself to be carried by something greater than your plans. In this sacred space between control and surrender, feel the peace that comes with knowing you are held by divine choreography. Let your last thought before drifting into sleep be, I trust the wisdom of the universe. All is well. Chapter 5. The Power of Cheerful Expectation. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, Dottie sold hand-woven baskets beneath a weathered awning. Each morning, while other merchants grumbled about slow trade, she would arrange her wares with dancing eyes and a smile that seemed to know a secret. When asked about her perpetual brightness, she would say, I expect wonderful things, and wonderful things know where to find me. As seasons turned, merchants noticed something peculiar. Though all sold similar wares, customers flocked to Dottie's stall like birds to morning light. Her baskets were no finer than others, yet they seemed to glow with an invisible charm. The truth lay not in her craftsmanship, but in the joy she wove into every moment of anticipation. This wisdom echoes through the ages. Your emotional frequency becomes your spiritual address. The universe responds not to your words or wishes, but to the feeling tone of your being. When you attune yourself to joy, you activate a magnetic force that draws corresponding experiences into your field. Gratitude holds the master key to this creative process. Unlike the mind's calculating nature, gratitude speaks the language of the soul. It transforms your energy field into fertile soil where dreams take root. This is not mere positive thinking. It is spiritual physics in action. Consider how a flower turns toward the sun before dawn, preparing for light while still in darkness. Similarly, your grateful expectation signals the universe to arrange circumstances in harmony with your joy. You need not know how your good will arrive. You need only maintain the frequency that matches its nature. In a distant valley lived Owen, a shepherd who inherited a barren plot of land. While neighbors offered condolences, Owen gave thanks for the perfect place to manifest his vision. Each morning he walked the dusty soil, speaking to it as though it were already the lush meadow he saw in his heart. People called him foolish until springs began bubbling up from underground streams no one knew existed. The land transformed, not through Owen's labor alone, but through his daring optimism that invited the universe's cooperation. His gratitude became a beacon that guided hidden blessings to the surface. This tale whispers a timeless truth. Optimism is not blind hope, but spiritual vision that perceives abundance before its physical manifestation. When you dare to expect joy, you hand the universe a blank canvas and say, "Show me something beautiful." The divine artist never disappoints. The practice of joyful expectation. As the sun greets each new day, before your feet touch the floor, let your first conscious act be a smile. From this place of pure possibility, whisper one sentence of eager gratitude for something you wish to experience. Feel the warmth of appreciation as though your desire has already manifested. This simple ritual aligns your spiritual frequency with the vibration of receiving, allowing light to illuminate the path of your approaching good. Chapter 6. The Still Point of Now. The universe responds not to your words or wishes, but to the feeling tone of your being. When you attune yourself to joy, you activate a magnetic force that draws corresponding experiences into your field. Gratitude holds the master key to this creative process. Unlike the strained efforts of the mind, genuine appreciation opens channels through which abundance naturally flows. Your heartfelt expectation of good becomes the magnet that draws it forth. In the bustling streets of a mountain village, Hazel rushed through her days, forever chasing tomorrow's peace. "When I achieve this," she would say, "then I'll rest." But as each goal was reached, another rose to take its place, and tranquility remained forever one step ahead. One afternoon, exhausted from her endless pursuit, she paused beneath an ancient olive tree. As the wind whispered through its leaves, time seemed to stop. In that sacred pause, she realized, peace wasn't waiting in some distant achievement. It was here, in the simple act of being present. The wisdom speaks. Your power to attract lies not in what you do, but in how you are. When you release the constant reaching for tomorrow, you discover that what you seek has always lived within this moment. The present is where all power resides, where all manifestation begins. This truth was exemplified by Silas, the village clockmaker. While others rushed to complete their work, he sat in his small shop, crafting timepieces with unwavering presence. Each gear he placed with such devoted attention that customers said his clocks carried something magical, a sense of timelessness within their ticking hearts. One day a wealthy merchant demanded to know his secret. Silas smiled and said, "I forget time itself while working. In that forgetting, I touch eternity, and it flows into every piece I create." The secret lies in this paradox. When you cease chasing future moments and fully inhabit this one, you activate a magnetic force that draws all good to you. Your emotional stability becomes a beacon, attracting circumstances that match your inner peace. Ancient practice of present power. 3 times each day, as the sun rises at noon's height and as evening approaches, pause and close your eyes. Draw a slow, deep breath, tasting the sweetness of reality exactly as it is. Feel the truth that no future moment will ever contain more life than this one. Let this knowing settle into your bones. Presence itself is the door through which all blessings enter. In this practice lies the key to emotional mastery and magnetic attraction. For when you touch the eternal now, you connect with the very source of all manifestation. Chapter 7. The Serenity of Boundaries. In a valley blessed by ancient wisdom, there lived a healer named Millie, whose heart overflowed with compassion. From dawn until dusk, she tended to every soul who knocked upon her door, offering remedies, counsel, and comfort. Her gentle spirit drew countless seekers, each carrying their burdens like heavy vessels waiting to be emptied. As seasons passed, Millie's own light began to dim. Her once radiant energy flickered like a candle fighting against the wind. Though her hands continued their work, her spirit whispered of depletion. Yet still she gave, believing sacrifice marked the path of service. Until one morning, as she gazed into her reflection in the sacred pool, wisdom spoke through the ripples. The vessel that eternally pours must also pause to fill. This truth opens the gateway to a fundamental law of energy, the principle of sacred boundaries. Your energy field is not an unlimited fountain, but a precious garden requiring careful tending. Each yes spoken from obligation rather than authentic alignment drains the very essence needed for true service. Consider how the universe itself maintains perfect order through natural boundaries. The ocean meets the shore in a divine dance of give and receive. The seasons flow one into another, each respecting its time. Even the mighty sun rests beneath the horizon, teaching us the rhythm of replenishment. In a distant marketplace, Charlie, a merchant known for his generosity, learned this lesson through different circumstances. Day after day, he extended credit to those who asked, believing kindness meant never refusing. His shelves grew bare, his resources stretched thin, until his ability to serve anyone began to fade. Then one quiet evening, as he studied his empty storehouse, understanding dawned like the first rays of morning. True giving flows from abundance, not depletion. When he began to honor his needs alongside others, his business flourished anew. His no became as sacred as his yes, each decision flowing from a place of honest respect for himself and others. This tale mirrors your own journey with energy and boundaries. Each time you honor your truth, you strengthen the container of your power. When you give from overflow rather than obligation, your gifts carry greater potency. Your no becomes not a rejection, but a holy act of self-respect, preserving the very energy needed to serve in alignment with your highest purpose. Ancient practice of energy. Alignment. Before each promise or commitment, pause and sink into stillness. Place your hand upon your heart and ask with gentle curiosity, does my energy say yes? Feel the response arise not from thought, but from the wisdom of your being. Honor this truth before words form, knowing that your authentic response serves all involved. Let your answer emerge from this sacred space of self-respect, trusting that boundaries birth the very freedom your spirit seeks. Chapter 8. When the World Tests You. In a tranquil mountain village there lived a weaver named Evelyn, whose tapestries captured the beauty of dawn. Her artistry drew admirers from distant lands, each seeking to possess the light she wove into cloth. Among them was a merchant who promised to share her work with the world, speaking of galleries in far-off cities where her art would shine. Trusting his vision, Evelyn entrusted him with her finest pieces. Months passed without word, until truth emerged like morning mist clearing. The merchant had claimed her work as his own, selling her tapestries under his name in distant markets. Yet as others rushed to console her, they witnessed something remarkable. Where they expected tears, they found tranquility. Where they looked for rage, they discovered grace. Evelyn continued her weaving, her hands steady, her spirit unmoved. The universe tests not to wound, but to reveal. Each challenge serves as a mirror, reflecting back the depth of your inner mastery. When circumstances conspire to shake your foundation, they simultaneously unveil your true strength. You see, emotional stability isn't measured in moments of peace, but in times of turbulence. Just as gold proves its purity in fire, your inner power reveals itself through contrast. Each betrayal, each disappointment, each moment that threatens to disturb your serenity. These are not obstacles, but opportunities. They are the sacred gymnasium where your spiritual muscles grow stronger. Consider Jasper, a sculptor whose beloved left him without warning. Instead of drowning in sorrow, he channeled his pain into his greatest masterpiece. a series of sculptures depicting transformation. Through his hands, heartbreak became beauty, loss became creation. His art spoke not of bitterness, but of rebirth, touching souls who recognized their own journey in his work. The test always contains the gift. When life presents its challenges, remember, you're not being punished, you're being promoted. The universe conspires not against you, but for your expansion. Each difficulty arrives as a teacher, carrying lessons wrapped in temporary discomfort. This wisdom whispers through the ages. The same wind that extinguishes a candle ignites a fire. Your response to challenge determines whether you'll flicker out or flame brighter. Your worth remains constant, unchanged by external events. Like the sun above storm clouds, your inner light continues to shine, regardless of temporary shadows. The betrayal, loss, or disappointment you face isn't a measure of your value. It's an invitation to demonstrate your power. Sacred practice. When challenge approaches like a gathering storm, pause. Draw one deep, conscious breath. Let it fill your lungs completely. Then, with quiet authority, declare, "This too trains my peace." Feel these words resonate through your being, transforming the moment from adversary to ally. Let each difficulty become your teacher, each test your testimony. Chapter 9. The Joy Hidden in Patience. The universe tests not to wound, but to reveal. Each challenge arrives as an invitation to discover your unshakable center. When the ground beneath your feet trembles, you unlock the power to stand firm. This wisdom echoes through the ages, carried in the hearts of those who transformed their trials into triumph. Consider the tale of gentle Edith, who tended her small shop at the edge of an ancient marketplace. Day after day, she watched others flourish while her own dreams seemed suspended in time's embrace. Her heart yearned for expansion, yet every attempt to grow met with mysterious delays. Permits would linger unsigned, potential partners would withdraw, and promising opportunities would dissolve like morning dew. In the depths of her waiting, Edith discovered something precious. Each delay carried a gift, a lesson unlearned, a skill unmastered, a wisdom yet to bloom. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, orchestrated not denial but divine synchronization. The law of vibrational timing flows through all creation. Just as fruit ripens in its season, so too do your desires manifest in their perfect moment. This sacred principle reveals that what appears as delay is often destiny's preparation. Tommy, a humble orchardist, embodied this truth. For 7 seasons, his apple trees yielded meager harvests despite his devoted care. His hope waned with each passing autumn until finally he surrendered to the rhythm of nature itself. In that very season of acceptance, his orchard burst forth with abundance, teaching him that faith flowers in perfect time. Your desires are seeds planted in the fertile soil of possibility. The universe tends to them with a wisdom beyond mortal understanding. What seems like waiting is often a sacred refinement, an invisible alchemy preparing you to receive what you seek. When impatience visits your spirit, remember this ancient practice. Smile knowingly and speak these words with gentle assurance. I am in divine timing. Feel how relief replaces restlessness, how trust dissolves tension. In this sacred surrender, you align with the universe's perfect orchestration. For in the space between wanting and receiving, you are being prepared for the very thing you seek. Every perceived delay serves as a bridge to greater readiness. Every pause polishes your capacity to receive. Chapter 10. The Breath of Detachment. In the shadow-cast valleys of an ancient mountain village lived Lila, whose heart beat with such fierce devotion that she bound herself to others with chains of need. Each relationship became a fortress where she sought refuge from life's uncertainties. Her love, though pure in intention, carried the weight of desperation. a silent plea that whispered, "Complete me, save me, never leave me." Through countless seasons, Lila wove her happiness from threads of others' presence, until wisdom found her in an unexpected moment. As she watched autumn leaves release their branches, dancing freely in the wind, nature unveiled its timeless teaching. True love thrives in freedom's embrace. The universe speaks through the law of divine detachment, a principle as old as the stars themselves. When you release your grip on what you cherish, you create space for love to breathe, to dance, to flourish in its natural state. This is not abandonment, but enlightened devotion, not indifference, but the highest form of care. Your relationships mirror your inner state of being. When need drives connection, fear shadows every embrace. But when you stand complete within yourself, love flows like sunlight, warming all it touches without demanding anything in return. In a distant valley lived Ned, a shepherd who measured his worth by his flock's devotion. Each evening he would corral his sheep close, fearing wolves and wanderlust might steal them away. Yet the tighter he held them, the more they strained against his protection, until one wise woman shared an ancient secret. Love with open hands, and what is truly yours will always return. Ned began blessing his flock each morning with freedom, watching them scatter across green meadows, only to return by choice at dusk. In releasing his grip, he discovered a deeper bond, one forged not by necessity, but by mutual trust. This sacred truth echoes through the ages. When you free another, you free yourself. Every relationship blooms more beautifully when rooted in choice rather than need. Your love becomes a gift freely given, not a debt to be repaid. The practice of blessing through release transforms anxiety into peace, possession into partnership. Each soul you encounter comes bearing lessons, not obligations. They are fellow travelers on life's vast journey, not anchors for your security. Tonight, as stars paint the sky with ancient light, practice this timeless ritual. For each person you hold dear in your heart, speak these words with gentle power. You are free, and so am I. Feel how these words dissolve the chains of attachment, leaving only love's pure light. In this sacred release, you'll discover that true connection needs no tether. It simply is. Part 2, The Ascension of Awareness. Chapter 11, Thought as Creative Command. In a small cottage among whispering pines, Faye woke each morning to the same gray thoughts that painted her world in muted shades. Her lips would form familiar words. Another difficult day ahead. And so it was, for the universe has no choice but to mirror what we speak into its vastness. Yet one morning, as dawn's first light kissed her windowsill, Faye noticed how her words felt heavy on her tongue. In that moment of awareness, an ancient truth stirred within her heart. Her thoughts were not mere whispers in the void, but master builders shaping the very foundation of her experience. The law of vibrational architecture stands as one of the universe's most potent mysteries. Every thought you think sends ripples through the fabric of creation, like stones cast into still waters. These ripples become the blueprint from which your reality takes form. This is not metaphor, but cosmic law, as real as gravity, as consistent as the dawn. Your inner dialogue serves as the architect of your existence. Each word you speak to yourself lays another brick in the foundation of your experience. The invisible always precedes the visible, just as the blueprint precedes the building. What you whisper in the silence of your mind becomes the symphony of your life. In the bustling marketplace of a distant city, Harold, a merchant known for his perpetual frown, discovered this truth through an unexpected teacher. A wise woman, noting his troubled expression, shared with him an ancient practice: speak peace to your soul before speaking to others. At first Harold doubted such simple wisdom, yet each morning before opening his shop, he would whisper to himself, "Peace flows through me like a gentle stream." Days passed, and strange coincidences began to multiply. Kind customers appeared more frequently, solutions arose effortlessly, and opportunities seemed to seek him out. Harold had stumbled upon the secret of vibrational alignment. His words were creating his world. Your thoughts are not merely passive observations, but active creators, each one carrying the power to shape your reality. When you understand this, you hold the master key to transformation. The universe responds not to what you want, but to the energy you emanate through your consistent inner dialogue. In the silence of dawn, when the world still dreams, lift your voice in gentle self-blessing. Let these words become your morning ritual. My thoughts build beauty. Feel how these words resonate within you, setting the tone for the hours ahead. This practice, passed down through ages of wisdom seekers, opens the gateway to conscious creation. Watch as your world begins to shift, reflecting the light you've chosen to kindle within. Chapter 12. Repatterning the Past. In a village where time moved like honey dripping from a spoon, there lived a woman named Wilma, who carried her memories like heavy stones in a basket. Each morning she would wake and feel their familiar weight pressing against her spirit. These were not gentle remembrances, but sharp-edged moments that had cut deep grooves into her soul, betrayals that still stung, words that still echoed, and choices that still haunted her quiet hours. Until the day she discovered the ancient art of transmutation. Your past is not a prison sentence, but a treasury of wisdom waiting to be unlocked. Each memory that brings discomfort holds within it a seed of enlightenment. Much like a grain of sand within an oyster eventually becomes a pearl. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has gifted you these experiences not as punishment, but as stepping stones toward greater understanding. When you approach your memories with the gentle touch of compassion, their sharp edges begin to soften. This is not about denying what happened or dismissing genuine hurt. Rather, it is about viewing these moments through the lens of spiritual growth. Every person who caused you pain was, unknowingly, a teacher. Every situation that brought you to your knees was silently strengthening your spirit. In a distant monastery, Frank, a humble scribe, spent years recording the stories of others, while his own tale remained bitter in his heart. Each night he would revisit the moment his brother had betrayed his trust, letting the familiar anger wash over him. But one evening, as he sat with his scrolls, he began to write his own story differently. Instead of casting his brother as the villain, he wrote of two souls caught in the dance of learning. With each word, the story transformed, not in its facts, but in its meaning. As Frank rewrote his narrative, something miraculous occurred. The memory remained, but its power to hurt him dissolved like morning mist in sunlight. He discovered that freedom comes not from erasing the past, but from understanding it differently. This transformation is available to you now. Your memories are not fixed stories carved in stone, but living energy waiting to be reshaped by your wisdom. When you stand in the present moment and look back with eyes of understanding, you become an alchemist, turning the lead of old pain into the gold of wisdom. The practice. As twilight approaches, find a quiet moment to sit in peace. Bring to mind a memory that still carries emotional charge. Envision it surrounded by a gentle golden light. Rather than pushing it away or dwelling in its pain, simply observe it with compassion. Then, with genuine gratitude, whisper these words, "Thank you for teaching me." Feel how this simple act of gratitude begins to transform the memory's energy, releasing its hold on your present moment. Chapter 13. The Courage of Radical Acceptance. Once in a village between misty mountains, there lived a woman named Mabel who spent her days waging war with her reflection. Each morning she would scrutinize every perceived flaw, every line that time had drawn upon her face, every curve that didn't match society's narrow vision of beauty. Her heart carried a heavy burden, the endless pursuit of an impossible perfection. The more fiercely she fought against herself, the deeper her discontent grew, like waves crashing against unyielding rocks. Her resistance only amplified her suffering. Yet within this struggle lay a sacred truth waiting to emerge, like a butterfly within its chrysalis. When you resist what is, you create an inner division that ripples through your entire being. This resistance becomes a wall between you and the peace that is your natural state. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has crafted you precisely as you are, not as a mistake to be corrected, but as a masterpiece to be discovered. Consider how the moon never apologizes for its phases, how the rose never questions its thorns, how the ocean never regrets its depths. These elements of nature exist in perfect harmony with their true nature. You, too, are nature embodied. Your perceived imperfections are not flaws but brushstrokes in the greater painting of your being. In the bustling marketplace of a distant city, there lived a merchant named Ralph who had always measured his worth by his achievements. Each failure felt like a judgment, each setback a confirmation of his unworthiness. His shop, though modest, carried the weight of his unfulfilled dreams. One quiet evening, as he was closing his shop, a small child entered, eyes bright with wonder at his simple wares. "Your shop feels like home," the child said, smiling. In that moment, something shifted within Ralph. He saw his shop through the child's eyes, not as a testament to his failures, but as a haven of comfort and possibility. This simple exchange awakened Ralph to a profound truth. His worth had never depended on his achievements. The love he sought had always resided within, waiting to be acknowledged. His perceived failures were merely stepping stones on the path to self-discovery. You, too, hold this power of transformation. Each moment of self-judgment can become an invitation to deeper love. Your imperfections are not obstacles to overcome, but gateways to authentic being. When you embrace all aspects of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strength and the vulnerability, you align with the universe's boundless acceptance. The path to emotional freedom begins with this gentle acceptance. Like a mother cradling her child, hold your perceived flaws with tenderness. Let go of the exhausting pursuit of perfection and embrace the perfect imperfection of your being. Ancient practice for self-acceptance. Stand before your mirror, meet your own gaze, and softly declare, "Every part of me deserves love." Let these words sink into your being, allowing them to dissolve the walls of resistance you've built against yourself. In this sacred moment of self-recognition, feel the warmth of unconditional acceptance flowing through your entire being. Chapter 14, Magnetic Forgiveness. In a small coastal village, where the sea whispered ancient wisdom to those who would listen, lived a woman named Penny. Her heart carried wounds so deep they seemed etched into her very soul. For years, she held on to hurts that had been inflicted upon her, believing that her pain was a testament to the wrongs she had endured. Yet the weight of unforgiveness became a prison, its walls growing thicker with each passing season. Within every heart dwells the power to transmute darkness into light. This power awakens the moment you recognize that forgiveness is not about condoning actions, but about freeing your own spirit from the chains of resentment. The universe operates through the law of vibrational harmony. When you hold on to grievances, you anchor yourself to the very frequency of pain you wish to transcend. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to others, it is a sacred offering to yourself. Each act of forgiveness clears the emotional pathways through which abundance, joy, and peace flow. When you release others from the prison of your judgment, you simultaneously unlock your own cell door. In the quiet hills beyond the village lived Dennis, a painter who had spent decades berating himself for choices made in youth. His self-condemnation had become a dark lens through which he viewed his entire existence. One morning, as sunlight painted his studio in gold, understanding dawned like the first rays of dawn. Every perceived misstep had led him precisely where he needed to be. Dennis began to see how each wrong turn had strengthened his character. Each mistake had deepened his compassion. In forgiving himself, he discovered that his path had been divinely guided all along. His art transformed, infused with a new lightness that touched all who beheld it. This truth remains eternal. The universe operates through perfect order, even when that order remains hidden from our limited perspective. Every experience serves the soul's evolution. Every challenge contains a gift of growth. When you forgive yourself and others, you align with this divine orchestration. The practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and bring to mind any situation or person, including yourself, that you've been holding in unforgiveness. As you inhale deeply, silently speak these words. I release you. I free myself. Feel divine light expanding within your heart, dissolving the shadows of resentment. Let each breath carry away the weight of judgment until only peace remains. Chapter 15. The Inner Sanctuary. Long ago, in a bustling market town, Lucille discovered an ancient truth through the midst of chaos. Each morning, as merchants shouted and carts clattered on cobblestones, she would sit quietly in her modest home, eyes closed, breathing deeply. In her mind's eye, she crafted a garden of tranquility, a sacred space where fountains whispered wisdom and golden light filtered through emerald leaves. When the world's discord threatened to overwhelm her, she would retreat to this inner sanctuary, emerging renewed and untouched by external storms. Your thoughts are the architect of your inner world. Each image you hold in your mind creates ripples in the fabric of consciousness, drawing to you experiences that match their frequency. The universe responds not to your words or wishes, but to the living pictures you paint within. These mental sanctuaries become more than mere imagination. They transform into energetic blueprints that shape your emotional reality. When you consciously create a space of serenity within your mind, you establish a vibrational haven that the outer world cannot disturb. This sacred practice dates back to the mystery schools of antiquity, where initiates learned to build temples of light in their consciousness. These inner sanctuaries serve as anchors, holding steady your peace regardless of circumstance. In the quiet village where mountain meets sky, Calvin tended his shop as war raged in distant lands. While others succumbed to fear, he would close his eyes thrice daily and enter his mental cathedral, a space of pristine marble and endless light. There, in that timeless dimension, no shadow could touch him. As uncertainty gripped the village, Calvin's presence remained a beacon of stability, his inner peace radiating outward to calm those around him. Your mind holds the power to create realms of perfect peace. These sanctuaries become more real with each visit, their walls strengthened by your attention, their atmosphere purified by your intention. When the world seems to spin in chaos, your inner temple stands unwavering, offering refuge and restoration. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment as the sun rises or sets. Close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 times. Begin to build your sanctuary within. Perhaps a garden, a temple, or a peaceful room filled with golden light. Notice every detail, the textures, colors, sounds, and sensations. Walk through this space slowly, letting its peace fill every cell of your being. Return to this sanctuary daily, allowing its essence to permeate your outer experience. With each visit, your inner temple grows stronger, becoming an unshakable foundation of serenity in your life. Chapter 16. The Symphony of Gratitude. The sanctuary you build within your consciousness becomes your refuge in times of turmoil. This sacred space exists beyond the reach of earthly concerns, a temple of serenity where your spirit finds rest. Just as a master artist carefully selects each brushstroke, You too must mindfully choose the elements that compose your inner sanctuary. Begin with stillness. Let it spread like gentle waves across the landscape of your mind. Add the warmth of divine light, streaming down in golden rays that touch every corner of your being. Feel the solid ground beneath you, supporting your journey into deeper awareness. This is your sacred space where the wisdom of ages whispers eternal truths. When the outer world seems to spin in chaos, this inner temple stands unwavering. It is here that you reconnect with the infinite source of all creation, where every breath aligns you with universal harmony. The power of this sanctuary lies not in escape, but in remembrance of who you truly are, of the peace that dwells eternally within. Calvin, a humble weaver, understood this truth profoundly. In his small workshop, surrounded by the constant clatter of looms and the demands of impatient merchants, he discovered something remarkable. Each morning, before touching a single thread, he would close his eyes and enter his inner temple, a serene mountaintop where crystal-clear streams flowed and ancient cedars reached toward endless sky. This wasn't mere daydreaming, it was spiritual alchemy. As Calvin wove this inner peace into his daily life, remarkable changes unfolded. The very atmosphere around him began to shift. Customers who arrived agitated would inexplicably calm in his presence. Fellow craftsmen sought his company during their breaks, drawn to the quiet strength he emanated. Without speaking a word about his practice, Calvin's inner sanctuary transformed his outer world. His secret lay not in escaping reality, but in anchoring himself to a deeper truth. From this centered space, external circumstances lost their power to disturb his equilibrium. The sanctuary within became his foundation, an unshakable core of peace that influenced everything he touched. The interpretation of Calvin's experience reveals a universal truth. Your inner sanctuary is not just a refuge, it is a powerful, creative force. When you cultivate this sacred space within, you carry its peace into every moment, every interaction, every circumstance. Like ripples on a pond, this inner harmony extends outward, touching all aspects of your life. Ancient practice for inner sanctuary building. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 times. Begin to construct your inner sanctuary with loving attention to detail. See the light, feel the textures, hear the subtle sounds of this sacred space. Make it as real as possible in your mind's eye. Visit this sanctuary 3 times daily, dawn, noon, and dusk, even if just for a moment. Let it become your anchor in the shifting tides of life. This practice, passed down through generations of mystics and sages, holds the power to transform your entire experience of reality. Your inner sanctuary awaits. Enter with reverence, dwell there in peace, and watch as its blessings overflow into every aspect of your existence. Chapter 17. The Lighthouse Within. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, Vera stood before a merchant whose anger flared over a miscount of coins. While others matched his fury with their own, Vera remained still, her eyes soft with compassion. Instead of arguing, she smiled gently and spoke words of understanding. The merchant's rage, finding no resistance, dissolved like morning mist in sunlight. In that moment, the entire marketplace shifted, from tension to tranquility. When you face darkness, your natural instinct may be to fight against it, yet darkness cannot be battled, it can only be illuminated. This universal truth echoes through the ages. Light needs no defense, for it is its own protection. In the presence of illumination, shadows naturally recede. Your emotional mastery grows not through conquest, but through radiance. Each time you choose to emanate light rather than engage in conflict, you activate the universe's highest law, the law of transformation through transcendence. This is not passive acceptance, but active elevation. You rise above the dense energies of argument and defense into the refined vibration of understanding. Consider how the sun does not argue with clouds, it simply shines. Its radiance remains constant, undiminished by temporary obscuration. This is your natural state, a being of pure light, temporarily experiencing the illusion of darkness. In the quiet hills overlooking a valley, Oscar discovered this truth during a time of great uncertainty. As fear gripped his village during a drought, he maintained an unwavering calm. Each morning he sat in meditation, filling himself with golden light. As he walked through the village, that light spread invisibly, yet tangibly. Children found themselves laughing near him. Elderly villagers felt their worries ease in his presence, and slowly, hope returned to replace fear. Oscar never spoke of changing others. He simply tended to his own inner light, understanding that transformation flows from presence rather than pressure. His story teaches us that one illuminated consciousness can shift the energy of an entire community. Your emotional state creates an energetic atmosphere that touches everything around you. When you maintain inner light, you become a silent force of transformation. This is not about forcing change, but about being the change, naturally, effortlessly, completely. Practice. Pause 3 times each day. Morning, noon, and evening. Close your eyes and visualize a warm, golden light glowing in the center of your chest. With each breath, let this light expand, filling your entire being. As you move through your day, imagine this light gently extending beyond your body, touching everything and everyone around you. You need not speak of it or explain it. Simply be the light. Notice how environments shift, how tensions ease, how harmony naturally emerges in your presence. This is not something you do, it is something you are. Chapter 18, The Dance with Fear. Your power lies not in fighting darkness, but in embodying light. Within you dwells an eternal flame, a sacred presence that transforms every space it touches. This light requires no defense, no justification, and no explanation. It simply is. In the quiet valleys beyond the western mountains lived curious Nancy, who discovered this truth through an unexpected teacher, her own fear. Where others saw fear as an enemy to vanquish, Nancy chose a different path. One moonlit evening, as anxiety wrapped around her heart like a familiar shawl, she did something revolutionary. She welcomed it. "Why do you visit me so often?" she asked her fear with genuine interest. To her amazement, fear responded not with its usual overwhelming force, but with whispers of wisdom. It showed her dangers she hadn't considered, opportunities she hadn't noticed, and strengths she hadn't yet claimed. The universal law reveals itself. What you resist persists, but what you embrace transforms. Fear, when befriended, becomes a lantern in the dark, illuminating paths that lead to growth. It is not your enemy, but a messenger bearing gifts of awareness and potential. Douglas, a skilled craftsman, learned this truth in his own way. Each time fear approached his workshop, warning him about trying new designs or taking ambitious commissions, he would pull up a chair and say, "Tell me more." What began as paralyzing worry evolved into creative caution, helping him refine his craft with greater precision. His fear, once acknowledged, became his most discerning critic and wisest advisor. The teaching speaks clearly. The lighthouse does not battle the storm, it simply stands and shines. Its unwavering presence guides ships to safety not through conflict, but through consistent illumination. You possess this same power. When darkness swirls around you, your role is not to fight, but to glow steadily, allowing your inner light to transform the atmosphere naturally. Sacred practice. When fear approaches, create a small ritual of welcome. Light a candle or sit in a quiet space. Speak these words with gentle authority. I honor your presence, fear, and welcome your wisdom. Together we rise. Feel the shift as resistance melts into recognition, and what once seemed an adversary reveals itself as an ally in your spiritual evolution. Chapter 19. The practice of emotional minimalism. In a bustling marketplace where merchants called their wares and customers haggled over prices lived Tilly, known for her once-quick temper. Each morning she would feel her blood rise at the smallest provocations, a spilled cup, a harsh word, a delayed delivery. Yet through an ancient teaching passed down by the village elder, she discovered a truth that would transform her life. When others reacted, Tilly learned to watch her impulses like clouds passing across the sky. Where once she would have spoken sharply, she now observed the urge to respond rise and fall away. With each passing day, her inner world grew more spacious, more peaceful. The universe speaks through the law of emotional economy. What you resist persists. What you release brings peace. Every reaction demands energy, creating ripples that return to disturb your waters. Yet in the space between stimulus and response lies your true power, the power to choose peace. Picture your consciousness as a pristine room. Each reaction is like bringing in unnecessary furniture, cluttering the space until movement becomes difficult. But in the art of non-reaction, you maintain the room's natural spaciousness. This is not suppression, but supreme allowing, a gentle acknowledgement that most things require no response at all. In the quiet hills beyond the marketplace lived Henry, a potter known for his exquisite work. One day, a customer knocked over his finest piece, shattering it upon the ground. The onlookers held their breath, expecting outrage. Instead, Henry smiled, swept up the pieces, and began anew. That day he created his masterpiece, not from clay, but from the choice to remain unmoved by loss. Through Henry's story, we glimpse the profound truth. Peace multiplies in the soil of non-reaction. Each time you choose not to engage with petty provocations, you plant a seed of tranquility. Your energy, preserved rather than scattered, becomes a fountain of creativity and joy. This is the way of emotional elegance, to move through life's challenges with the grace of one who knows that inner peace is too precious to sacrifice for momentary satisfaction. In your restraint lies your power, in your silence, your strength. Ancient practice. Select one situation today that typically triggers an immediate reaction. When it arises, pause. Simply smile, as if you hold a precious secret. Notice how this small shift creates a vast space within, a sanctuary of peace where reaction once lived. This is your natural state, remembered through the practice of conscious non-response. Chapter 20. The Power of Vibrational Integrity. In a quaint village among ancient hills, Ruby spent her days speaking of dreams while living in doubt. Her words sparkled with optimism, yet her heart harbored shadows of disbelief. Each morning she would proclaim abundance while counting her lacks, smile while feeling hollow, promise joy while expecting sorrow. One dawn, as she walked through the morning mist, an inner voice whispered a truth that would alter her path forever. The universe responds not to words alone, but to the harmony of your entire being. When you speak of prosperity while your thoughts whisper lack, you create discord in the universal frequency. When your words sing of love while your feelings hum with fear, you scatter your creative power to the winds. The law of attraction responds to congruence, the perfect alignment of thought, word, and feeling. Think of yourself as a musical instrument. Your words are the melody, your thoughts the harmony, and your feelings the resonance. When all three align, you create a symphony that the universe cannot help but dance to. This is the secret of manifestation, not in the speaking, not in the thinking, but in the complete harmony of your being. In a distant town lived Martin, a merchant who always spoke of honesty yet kept 2 account books. His prosperity remained elusive until the day he aligned his actions with his words. When his outer life finally matched his inner truth, abundance flowed naturally, as if the universe had simply been waiting for this moment of authenticity. Through Martin's transformation, we glimpse the power of congruence. The universe responds not to what we say we want, but to what we are being in every moment. When your thoughts, words, and feelings align with your desires, you become a clear channel through which abundance flows effortlessly. This is the sacred art of alignment. To live in such harmony with your truth that every cell of your being vibrates with the same message. Your power lies not in perfect words or carefully crafted thoughts, but in the seamless unity of your entire being. Ancient practice. Live today exactly as you wish to feel tomorrow. Let your thoughts, words, and actions sing the same song. If you seek abundance, move through your day as though abundance already fills your life. If you desire peace, embody peace in every interaction. The future you seek must first be lived in the eternal now. Part 3. The Embodiment of Peace. Chapter 21. The Silent Teacher of Nature. Along a windswept coastline, Flora walked each morning, her thoughts tangled like seaweed in a storm. For years, she had wrestled with her emotions, trying to force them into submission through sheer will. Yet the more she fought, the more turbulent her inner waters became. One dawn, as she traced her usual path along the shore, the wind whispered an ancient truth. It moved through leaves and branches with perfect rhythm, sometimes fierce, sometimes gentle, but always in harmony with its own nature. Flora stood still, watching how the trees received each gust. They neither resisted nor collapsed, but danced in elegant partnership with the air. The universe speaks through nature's endless cycles. In every leaf's gentle sway, in each wave's patient return to shore, lies the blueprint for emotional mastery. You need not control your feelings any more than the oak must control the wind. Instead, like the tree, you can learn to bend without breaking, to move without losing your roots. Your emotions flow like weather patterns through consciousness. Fighting them creates the very turbulence you seek to avoid. When you align with their natural rhythm, like the shore accepting both tide's approach and retreat, you discover the secret of emotional equilibrium. In a small fishing village, Wes spent his days fighting the sea's moods until exhaustion taught him wisdom. Each morning, he would force his boat through waves that weren't ready to be crossed. Each evening, he would return home, frustrated, his nets empty, his spirit heavy. Then one day, watching the seabirds glide effortlessly on air currents, Wes understood. These creatures didn't battle the elements, they flowed with them. That evening, instead of forcing his way through resistant waters, he observed the sea's rhythm. He noticed how the waves had their own timing, how the currents moved in predictable patterns. When Wes aligned his fishing schedule with the ocean's natural flow, everything changed. His nets filled effortlessly, his journeys became smoother, and a deep peace settled into his heart. The sea hadn't changed. His relationship with it had. The ocean reveals this truth. Resistance creates turbulence, while acceptance brings flow. Your emotions, like waves, will rise and fall. Their movement is not your enemy, but your ally in the dance of consciousness. When you learn to move with them rather than against them, you discover an effortless grace in your emotional life. Ancient practice. Spend a moment outdoors today and mirror the calm you witness. Like a tree standing serene in the breeze, let your presence be both rooted and responsive. Observe how nature neither rushes nor resists its own rhythms. In this observation lies the key to your own emotional mastery. Chapter 22. The Alchemy of Joyful Service. The wind carries wisdom in its whispers, and the trees share secrets with those who pause to listen. Nature stands as your most patient teacher, offering lessons through its eternal rhythms and unwavering truths. In a small mountain village, Nora tended her garden with quiet devotion. Each morning she would gather the sweetest fruits and freshest vegetables, placing them in baskets on her neighbors' doorsteps before dawn. She sought no recognition, no praise, no return. Like the apple tree that freely offers its bounty, she gave from the overflow of her heart. As you align with nature's way, you discover that energy flows in perfect circles. Just as the earth receives the rain and returns it to the sky, all giving returns multiplied. This is not mere metaphor, but the foundational law of the universe. Every genuine act of generosity creates a spiral of abundance that returns to its source. The mountains stand as witness to this truth. They collect the clouds, store the snow, and release crystal streams that nourish valleys below. In time, those same waters rise again as mist to embrace the peaks. Nothing in nature hoards or keeps score. Everything moves in cycles of giving and receiving. In another village lived Jed, whose heart carried deep sorrow. One day, watching a wounded bird, he felt moved to care for it. As he nursed the creature back to health, he noticed his own wounds beginning to heal. Through serving another's need, his pain transformed into purpose. Like a flower turning poison into nectar, his compassion alchemized suffering into strength. Nature demonstrates that healing flows through connection. The forest does not mourn its fallen leaves, but transforms them into nourishment for new growth. Every ending feeds a beginning. Every loss contains a seed of renewal. Through giving, you open channels for life's energy to flow through you rather than around you. The universe mirrors your generosity with mathematical precision. What flows out returns multiplied, not through human calculation, but through divine law. Like the oak that releases thousands of acorns without tracking their fate, your role is simply to give with an open heart. Sacred practice. Today, perform one act of anonymous kindness. Like the night-blooming flower that releases its fragrance unseen, offer your gift without witness or recognition. Feel how giving without agenda creates space for grace to enter. Let nature's wisdom guide your heart's expression. Chapter 23. The Tranquil Power of Perspective. In a bustling marketplace, Hattie stood before her small fabric shop as rainwater dripped through the worn awning onto her carefully displayed textiles. Rather than succumbing to frustration, she gazed at the water drops creating intricate patterns on the fabric. "What beauty you bring," she whispered, noticing how the moisture enhanced the cloth's colors, creating designs no human hand could replicate. Your relationship with life's circumstances shapes your entire experience. The universe speaks through every event, weaving messages of growth and transformation into the fabric of your daily existence. What appears as misfortune often carries seeds of unprecedented blessing. The law of divine perception teaches that circumstances hold no inherent meaning. You bestow meaning through your interpretation. When you view life's events as sacred messages rather than random occurrences, you transform your vibrational relationship with reality itself. Each moment becomes your teacher, each challenge your ally in awakening. Consider how water shapes stone not through force but through persistent, gentle touch. Similarly, life's irritations smooth your rough edges, revealing the masterpiece within. Your interpretation becomes the chisel that either creates beauty or carves deeper patterns of resistance. In a distant valley, Cliff tended his flock when wolves descended upon his sheep. Instead of viewing this as disaster, he recognized it as a sign to strengthen his fences. This insight led him to discover precious minerals while digging new post holes, wealth that far exceeded his losses. Through his transformed perception, apparent loss unveiled unprecedented gain. This ancient wisdom reminds us, what you resist persists, but what you embrace transforms. Every event carries dual possibilities, bitter medicine or sweet nectar. The choice of interpretation remains eternally yours. When you greet life's challenges as divine instruction, you unlock their hidden treasures. The universe orchestrates each moment for your highest evolution. That difficult person becomes your teacher of patience. That delayed plan creates space for something greater. That unexpected change redirects you toward your true path. Through the lens of divine perception, obstacles become opportunities and problems transform into possibilities. Practice for transmutation. When challenge visits, pause and ask with genuine curiosity, what blessing hides behind this disguise? Let this question open your awareness to the greater purpose unfolding through each experience. Watch as what once appeared as adversity reveals itself as advantage, and witness how your transformed perception transforms your entire reality. Chapter 24. The Gentle Authority of Presence. Deep within a mountain village, Goldie moved through life with a presence that seemed to touch the very air around her. As she entered the communal hall where heated voices clashed over water rights, her silent footsteps carried more wisdom than 1,000 words. Without speaking, she took her seat, and gradually the arguing voices softened. Those present found their breathing naturally slowing to match her peaceful rhythm. The disputants, who moments ago had been unable to hear each other, began to listen. The power of presence transcends the limitations of language. When you cultivate inner stillness, it radiates outward like ripples on a pond, touching all who enter your sphere. This sacred vibration needs no defense, no explanation, no justification. It simply is, and in its being, it transforms. Your state of being communicates more than your words ever could. When you rest in the depths of your own tranquility, you become a living invitation for others to remember their own peace. This is not a technique to be mastered, but a truth to be embodied. In the valleys below the mountain peaks, Vince discovered this wisdom in his own way. As master craftsman of the village's prized ceramics, he faced a crisis when his clay supplies became contaminated. Instead of rushing to fix the problem, he sat in silence before his wheel each morning. In that stillness, solutions emerged naturally, like dawn breaking over the horizon. His presence transformed what could have been chaos into a graceful dance of resolution. The true measure of your peace lies not in perfect circumstances, but in your capacity to remain anchored in stillness, regardless of external conditions. When you pause to align with your inner sanctuary before taking action, you allow divine intelligence to flow through you unimpeded. Sacred practice. Before you speak or act today, pause until you feel your heart expanding. Let your words and actions arise not from reaction, but from this space of open-hearted presence. Notice how this simple practice transforms the quality of your interactions and the atmosphere around you. In this sacred pause, you become a living bridge between the seen and unseen realms, allowing higher wisdom to flow through you into the world. Chapter 25. The Unmovable Heart. In the inner realm of emotional mastery, presence speaks a language more potent than words. Like a mountain unmoved by passing clouds, your centered awareness holds power to transform atmospheres without effort. This truth reveals itself through those who have walked this path before you. Susie, a village healer, once struggled with taking on her patient's pain. Each story of suffering would seep into her heart until she carried the weight of countless sorrows. Through countless seasons of service, she discovered that true compassion flows not from absorption but from presence. She learned to stand beside those in pain while maintaining her inner sanctuary, offering love without becoming entangled in outcomes. When you align with the frequency of pure presence, you access a wellspring of strength that needs no defense. This power emanates naturally from your being, requiring no force, no strain, no effort to maintain. It is the gentle authority that comes from knowing who you are. The universe operates through perfect balance. Softness and strength are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of the same power. like water, which can wear away mountains yet yield to a finger's touch. Your presence can be both tender and unshakable. Fred, a lighthouse keeper, embodied this wisdom through 40 years of storms. Each night, as waves crashed against the rocks and winds howled their fury, he maintained his light with steady hands and a peaceful heart. "The storm does not need my worry," he would say, "only my presence." Through countless tempests, he loved his task, without attachment to the fate of passing ships, understanding that his role was simply to shine. His story illuminates a profound truth. Emotional stability comes not from controlling external circumstances, but from anchoring deeply in your own presence. Like the lighthouse keeper, you can stand firm while extending your light, regardless of the storms that pass through your awareness. The paradox of presence reveals itself in this way. The more deeply you rest in your own being, the more powerfully you affect the world around you. Yet this influence requires no effort, no manipulation, no force. It flows naturally from your state of being, touching all it encounters with transformative grace. As your presence deepens, you'll notice that situations which once triggered emotional turbulence now wash over you like waves against a cliff. Not because you've become hard or insensitive, but because you've discovered your true nature as the witnessing awareness behind all experience. This ancient practice strengthens your connection to this timeless truth. Place your hand on your heart and affirm, "Nothing moves me unless I allow it." Chapter 26. The Quantum Calm. In every heart lies the capacity to remain unmoved by external turbulence while radiating boundless compassion. This truth unfolds through both ancient wisdom and present-moment awareness. Beatrice, a gentle soul living in a bustling town, noticed how her thoughts shaped the fabric of her reality. Each morning, she would rise before dawn and sit in peaceful contemplation. At first, her mind raced with worries about the day ahead, but gradually she learned to rest in pure awareness. As her inner stillness deepened, she witnessed a remarkable transformation. The world around her began to mirror her serenity. When thoughts arise from a place of calm centeredness, they carry the power to shape circumstances with grace. This is not magic, but rather the natural law of energetic resonance. Your state of being broadcasts a signal that life reflects back to you with perfect precision. The more you cultivate inner harmony, the more outer experience aligns with that frequency. Through this doorway of understanding walks Will, whose daily meditation practice revealed profound insights into reality's malleable nature. Each morning, he would sit in silence, allowing his awareness to settle like clear water. As months passed, he noticed how life began orchestrating itself more harmoniously around him. Traffic lights turned green as he approached. Perfect opportunities appeared at precise moments, and even challenging situations resolved themselves with unexpected ease. This is not coincidence, but coherence, the natural result of aligning your energy with universal flow. When you maintain unwavering serenity, you become a still point around which life organizes itself with elegant precision. Your presence becomes a sanctuary, transforming atmospheres without effort. The secret lies not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering your inner state. As you cultivate emotional stability, you naturally attract experiences that match your frequency. This is the subtle art of creation through consciousness, not forcing but allowing, not struggling but surrendering to the wisdom of the present moment. Ancient practice. Sit 5 minutes daily in radiant stillness. Watch synchronicity bloom. Let your awareness rest like a lake without ripples, reflecting the sky of infinite possibility. As you maintain this practice, notice how life begins to flow with increasing grace and harmony around your unshakable center. Chapter 27. The Echo of Inner Speech. In the quietude of an ordinary morning, Dora sat in her small kitchen cradling a cup of tea. For years, her inner dialogue had been a torrent of harsh criticism and doubt. "You're not enough. the voice would whisper. Everything is wrong. But on this particular dawn, something shifted within her consciousness. As sunlight painted her walls in gentle gold, Dora began speaking to herself as she would to a cherished friend. "You are doing your best," she whispered. "Each moment holds new possibility." The transformation was subtle at first, a softening around her eyes, a slight lifting of her shoulders. Yet as days passed, this new way of self-communion created ripples through every aspect of her existence. The universe responds to the frequency of your thoughts and words with mathematical precision. When you speak harshly within, you create dissonance that manifests as external chaos. But when you choose words of peace and acceptance, you align with the harmonious currents of creation. This truth became evident through Ross, a craftsman who had always struggled with perfectionism. His workshop once echoed with muttered frustrations and self-recrimination. Each mistake would trigger a storm of negative self-talk, until one day he discovered the power of gentle inner dialogue. "I choose to learn from this," he began saying when things went awry. "Each attempt brings me closer to mastery." As his inner speech softened, his hands grew steadier. Projects that once caused anxiety began flowing with unexpected ease. Customers commented on the peculiar peace they felt in his finished pieces, unaware that they were touching the physical manifestation of transformed consciousness. Your words carry vibrations that ripple through the quantum field of possibility. Each thought, each whispered self-reflection shapes the energy matrix from which your experiences emerge. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you tune your being to the frequency of grace. The ancient masters understood this principle. As within, so without. Your inner dialogue is not merely private conversation. It is the blueprint from which your reality takes form. Choose words that heal, that uplift, that encourage. Let your inner speech become a gentle stream of blessing. Sacred practice. Throughout this day, monitor your inner dialogue with tender awareness. When you notice harsh or critical thoughts, pause. Breathe deeply and speak to yourself as the divine would speak to you, with infinite patience and unconditional love. Notice how life begins responding differently to your transformed inner frequency. Chapter 28. The Eternal Observer. In the shadow of an ancient temple, Opal spent countless hours searching for inner peace through forced control of her thoughts. Each meditation became a battle, a desperate attempt to silence the endless chatter of her mind. The harder she fought against unwanted thoughts, the more persistently they returned, like waves crashing against a shore. One evening, as she sat beneath a gnarled olive tree, an aged monk approached. Without speaking, he pointed to the vast expanse above. Clouds drifted across the azure sky, some dark and brooding, others light and wispy. Yet the sky remained unchanged, untouched by their passing. In that moment, Opal understood. She had been identifying with the weather rather than the boundless space that held it all. The nature of consciousness mirrors the infinite sky. Your thoughts, like clouds, move through your awareness, sometimes stormy, sometimes serene. Yet you are not these thoughts, but the vast expanse of being in which they appear. This truth transforms the journey from struggle to witness. When you release the need to control your mental weather, a profound shift occurs. Your thoughts lose their seeming solidity, becoming mere visitors in the spaciousness of your true nature. Like clouds that cannot stain the sky, no thought can alter your essential being. This wisdom found its echo in Hank, a businessman whose mind churned with constant worry about the future. Day after day, he attempted to force positive thoughts, to suppress his fears, yet peace remained elusive. Then he discovered the art of witnessing, Standing at his office window one morning, watching clouds drift across the city sky, understanding dawned. He realized that, like the sky, his awareness remained pristine regardless of the thoughts passing through it. He stopped fighting his mental activity and simply observed, neither grasping pleasant thoughts nor pushing away uncomfortable ones. As days passed, Hank noticed a remarkable transformation. Without resistance, even difficult thoughts began to move through his awareness more easily, like clouds dispersing in a gentle breeze. His natural state of peace emerged not from controlling his thoughts, but from recognizing his true identity as the unchanging awareness in which all thoughts arise and dissolve. The ancient teachings speak of this truth. You are not your thoughts, but the knowing space in which thoughts appear. When you rest in this recognition, mental activity loses its power to disturb your peace. Like the sky that remains untouched by passing weather, your essential nature stays serene, regardless of mental conditions. Sacred practice. Tonight, watch your thoughts as clouds passing across vast blue awareness. Chapter 29. The Circle of Completion. Along a winding mountain path, Sadie walked each evening as the sun descended. While others hurried home before darkness fell, she lingered, blessing the day's departure. What began as a simple ritual transformed into profound wisdom, for in embracing each sunset's farewell, she discovered the sacred art of letting go. When change swept through her life like autumn winds through summer leaves, Sadie remembered the sun's daily lesson. Each ending arrived not as an enemy, but as a gateway to renewal. Her business closed its doors after 15 years, yet instead of clutching desperately at what was dissolving, she honored its season with gratitude. In doing so, she felt not loss, but liberation. The universe speaks in cycles, each completion making space for fresh beginnings. When you resist endings, you create friction against life's natural flow. But when you bless what is concluding, you align with the eternal dance of transformation. Every farewell carries within it the seeds of new hellos. Your resistance to endings stems from a misunderstanding that completion equals loss. Yet in truth, endings are simply change in motion, the universe's way of making space for your next expansion. Each goodbye clears the path for unexpected gifts, like a gardener pruning branches to allow new growth. Dean learned this truth when his longtime position at the harbor was eliminated. For 20 years, he had watched ships come and go, never imagining he would navigate such changes himself. Initially, bitterness colored his days as he mourned the loss of familiar routines. But as weeks passed, he began noticing how the tide's eternal rhythm mirrored life itself, the constant ebb and flow of circumstances. One morning, standing at the shore's edge, Dean watched the waves recede. Instead of focusing on what the water took away, he noticed how it revealed hidden treasures in the sand. Shells, smooth stones, and glinting possibilities. In that moment, he understood that his job's ending had cleared space for previously unimagined opportunities. Within months, he launched his own coastal tour business, finding joy in sharing the ocean's wisdom with others. When you resist endings, you create stagnation. But when you honor completions as natural transitions, you open yourself to life's renewing current. Every ending arrives as a teacher, asking only that you trust in what lies beyond the horizon of change. Practice. As you lay down to rest each night, place your hand upon your heart. Breathe deeply and whisper gratitude for all that is completing its cycle in your life. Feel the peaceful certainty that as one door closes, another opens. Release attachment to specific outcomes and breathe in readiness for the new chapters waiting to unfold. Let this simple ritual remind you that endings are not losses, but thresholds of transformation. Chapter 30. Becoming the Unshakable. Along a quiet garden path, Lottie walked with such gentle presence that flowers seemed to turn toward her, as if drawing sustenance from her serenity. This was not the studied calm of one still practicing peace. It was the natural radiance of one who had become peace itself. In the depths of winter, when others rushed about with furrowed brows, Lottie moved through her days like a warm breeze. Her neighbors marveled at how troubles that would once have shaken her now passed through her awareness like clouds across an infinite sky. She had discovered that true power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in remaining unmoved by them. One morning, as she tended her garden, Eli watched from his window. For years he had struggled with anxiety, collecting techniques and affirmations like talismans against fear. But as he observed Lottie's graceful movements, something ancient stirred within him, a remembrance of his own innate tranquility. The wisdom that flowed through Lottie whispered of a deeper truth. Peace was never something to achieve, but rather to unveil. Like a stream that had always run beneath the surface of his being, Eli's own serenity began to emerge. He recognized in her presence what he had always possessed, the capacity to remain steady amidst life's endless tides. Through Lottie's example, the teaching became clear. When we cease pursuing peace as something external to grasp, we discover it as our essential nature. Every practice of focus, every act of allowing, each moment of forgiveness, all expressions of gratitude, and every surrender to what is, these were never steps toward peace, but rather clearings of the debris that had hidden peace all along. The ancient practice. As the sun rises each morning, pause in the quiet dawn. Place your hand upon your heart and remember this timeless truth. Nothing in this world holds the power to move you unless you grant it permission. Let this knowing settle into your bones. Then walk through your day with the gentle power of one who knows their true nature. You are not seeking peace. You are peace itself, unveiled. Conclusion. The unshakable mind awakens not through striving, but through remembering. As you turn these final chapters, recognize that every teaching, every practice has led you back to what your soul has always known. You are the peace you seek. Within you dwells an ancient silence, a core of tranquility that circumstances cannot touch. This wisdom has whispered through generations, carried on the breath of sages who discovered what you now remember. Emotional mastery is your natural state. You have journeyed through focus and allowance, through forgiveness and gratitude, through surrender and revival. Yet these were not steps forward, but rather layers falling away, revealing the unchanging presence that is your true nature. The universe responds not to what you do, but to what you are. As you embody serenity, watch how life arranges itself around your steady center. Notice how storms that once tossed your emotions now pass through your awareness like birds across a vast sky, leaving no trace. This is the art of the unshakable, to stand in the midst of chaos, unmoved yet fully present. To engage with life's full spectrum while remaining anchored in your inner sanctuary. To allow all experiences their dance while staying seated in your sovereign peace. You are both the witness and the witnessed, the stillness and the movement, the silence and the song. Your presence alone now transforms atmospheres, not through effort but through being. This is your inheritance, not a practiced pose but an awakened truth. Let every breath remind you, you are not becoming peaceful, you are peace itself. You are not learning stability, you are stability expressing. You are not reaching for emotional mastery, you are mastery remembering itself through you. The journey ends where it began, in the quiet recognition that you were always, already, unshakable.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.